Indonesian movies are very natural and their stories are truly touching. Today, I'll tell you the story of such an Indonesian film called Layla Majnun. This isn't the historical Layla Majnun, but a different kind of Layla Majnun story, one that's enough to make you cry. And yes, at the end of the story, there are some life lessons, so please don't miss them. The story begins with an emotional background music that tugs at your heartstring. We see a mother and daughter frantically searching for something by the sea, and yes, they both find what they're looking for. They find the body of the husband which had washed up on the shore. The little girl cries out in agony, screaming, "Baba, Baba," as she mourns her father. The story moves forward a few days and we learn that her father had a lot of debt, which is why he committed suicide. He left the burden of that debt on his wife and child. The adorable little girl's name was Layla. After selling their house and everything they owned, Layla's mother took her to live at one of her uncle's houses. The next scene shows us events many years later. Layla has now grown up. She is a teacher at the local school, and like every other day, she finishes her class and heads home. Just then, her brother Ilham calls from Azerbaijan to tell her that she has been appointed as a guest lecturer at a college in Azerbaijan. Layla is overjoyed that she will have to go to Azerbaijan. She quickly heads home and upon arriving greets her mother and shares the happy news. But when Layla gets home, she finds that her uncle is finalizing her marriage arrangements with her childhood friend Ibnur. Layla is at a loss and doesn't know what to do. At first, she wasn't willing, but when she spoke privately with Ibnur, memories from childhood and Ibnur's gentle nature made Layla start to like him. She said, "I agree to marry you, but on one condition. I want to continue teaching." Ibnur replied, "Of course you will definitely continue teaching. She can even teach at a better school, there's no problem with that." Then Layla says, "My second condition is that I want to go to Azerbaijan." Hearing this, Ibnur is quite surprised, but in the next scene we see that Layla has already gone to Azerbaijan to her cousin Ilham. Ilham first takes her to the college principal, and it is there that Layla meets a young man who serves them a variety of Azerbaijani dishes he has cooked himself. Now Ilham takes her to his apartment. The next day, Layla goes to her class and sees that it's a first-year history undergraduate classroom. She had come to teach her students about Indonesian culture and language, and here Layla meets the same student who had served her food the previous day. The boy's name was Swamir, and on the very first day, Swamir directly invites Layla to visit the local culture museum, as if he's known her for years. Now, several other students from the class also agreed to join them. So, according to their plan, they set out with a few students. They go to visit the museum, and here, Layla tells Swamir, "Now we're outside of class, so you can call me Layla instead of ma'am." Anyway, they have a lot of fun wandering around the park. Suddenly, someone calls Swamir, and Swamir tells Layla that he needs to step away for a while. Meanwhile, as Layla wanders around alone, she sees in one corner of the museum a girl crying with her head on Swamir's chest. Seeing this, Layla feels quite hurt. I mean, seriously, it hasn't even been 2 days. She got married in her home country and came abroad, and in just 2 days, Layla has become emotionally attached to a stranger. Such humiliation. Anyway, after all that night Layla returns to her room and keeps looking at her husband's photo. Just then, her brother knocks on her door and takes her out for a walk in the city of Baku at night, where Layla meets her husband again. Today too, they talk a lot and get to know each other even more. Today, Layla has written a book about her own life story. She shares all this with her husband. And now, when Layla returns home, Ibnul sends her a video from their country. In the video, Ibn shows her the preparations for their wedding, what their house will look like, everything. Ibn seems truly happy to have Layla, but as Layla keeps watching all this, she starts to doze off. In her dream, she sees her husband. She was dancing with him, and just then, Layla wakes up from her sleep. She keeps reproaching herself in her mind. The next day at the university, Swamir says to her, "Miss Layla, let's go. Today, let's visit the old city." But Layla ignores him and says, "I'm here to teach, not to go sightseeing." She then rejoins her class and continues teaching her students. But that day, Swamir was not present in the class. Layla warns everyone to be careful. She tells them not to miss her class again in the future. After finishing the class, she goes to the old city to record a video to send to Ibn. But while she's making the video, she suddenly sees Swamir in front of her. She tries to slip away and escape from Swamir, but he spots her. Swamir Swamir immediately calls her. He asks, Layla, where are you? Should I come? Layla replies, no, I can go by myself. So Layla starts heading home alone. But the old city was such a maze that even after wandering there from afternoon till night, Layla can't find her way out. Finally, she is forced to call Swamir. He keeps giving her directions over the phone, telling her which way to go. In this way, her husband tells Layla to go to the door of a house at 1 o'clock. Layla follows his instructions and goes there. A woman opens the door, and a little while later, her husband also arrived. In fact, this was her husband's house, and he had already told his mother that he liked Layla. So his mother cooks a lot of food for Layla and takes great care of her. And now, while they're sitting at the dining table, just like the first day, her husband's phone rings again. And once again, he gets up and leaves his meal. But today, Layla goes with her husband. She says, I want to know where you're going. At one point, just like the first day, the girl comes running and starts crying with her head on her husband's chest. Layla asks, who is she? Her husband replies, this is Narmina, my cousin. Layla asks Narmina, what happened to you? Narmina says, actually my parents arranged my marriage with a boy, but he is a thug, so I absolutely refuse. And because of that, sometimes that guy threatens to kidnap me. And whenever that happens, I call my husband. He comes and saves me. Now after finishing their conversation, they were returning to the room. But just then that man showed up with some thug and attacked Swamir. Swamir got into a fight with them to protect Layla and Narmina. And at one point, Swamir single-handedly defeats all of them and rescues Narmina. Once the situation calms down, Swamir takes Layla out again. At night, in the city of Baku, he shows her the most beautiful places in the city, trying everything he can to impress Layla. In the end, he drops Layla off at her house. There, he wants to express his feelings to Layla, but Layla senses this beforehand, so she says to him, we're really good friends, aren't we? Thank you, friend, and quickly goes inside. But Swamir is clearly hurt by being ignored by her. Anyway, just then, Ibnata calls from Indonesia and starts showing her the dresses for her wedding. That night was spent in turmoil for Layla. The next morning, Layla learns that her brother wants to marry a girl from Azerbaijan, and he plans to marry her that very day. He wants Swamir and Layla to be witnesses at the wedding. But on the way to the wedding house, Ilham tells Layla, I've already told everyone at my in-laws' place that you and Swamir are married, so that they can see that two people from different countries can also be very happy together. The two of them will act just like a perfectly happy family. Although Layla feels quite awkward, she agrees for her brother's sake. Meanwhile, Ilham's wedding takes place in a very joyful atmosphere. By now, night has fallen and Ilham's in-laws ask them to stay the night. Amir and Layla are shown into room 1. Layla had no idea what to do, but her husband tells her, you sleep, I'm going outside, and then he leaves. Inside the room, Layla sits down to pray, asking Allah for help to control her emotion. Meanwhile, outside, her husband waits, thinking that maybe Layla will call him back into the room. Layla also goes to the window several times. She looks at her husband through the window several times, but in the end, Layla can't gather the courage to call her husband inside. The next morning, when Layla can't find her husband, she asks Ilham, where is my husband? Ilham replies, he has gone back to Bangkok city. Now when Layla returns to the city, she sees her future husband Ibn sitting with the college principal. Layla becomes very flustered. She asks, when did you arrive? Ibn says, I've been calling you for several days but you never answer, so I came myself. And now, just like the first day, Layla and Ibn are being served food by Swamir. But this time Swamir catches the unspoken exchange between Layla and Swamir. He realizes that something is definitely going on between Layla and Swamir. And now after the meal, Layla follows Swamir. She keeps saying to Swamir, sorry Swamir, before I met you, I had promised Ibn that I would marry him. Please forgive me. Swamir says, then what about the promise you made to me? Layla replies, I never made you any promise. At that moment, Swamir hands her a book. And at that moment, Layla remembers, actually a few years ago, Swamir had gone to Indonesia and had really enjoyed reading a book written by Layla. That day, Swamir had told Layla, I hope you will come to Azerbaijan, we will meet again. And in the crowd, Layla had written in the book that she would definitely come to Azerbaijan for Swamir. That's why Swamir thought that Layla had come to Azerbaijan for him, drawn by her love. Understanding everything, Layla began to cry uncontrollably there. And just then, Ibn comes and says, "Come upstairs, I've spoken to the principal, we'll be returning to Indonesia soon." Layla says, "But I still have many classes left to attend." Ibn says, "That's enough teaching, there's no need for it anymore." The next day, Ilham tells her that Swamir has printed many copies of her book after coming to Azerbaijan. Swamir wants everyone to read Layla's book and for Layla to one day read it aloud to everyone. Everyone fell in love with the book and Swamir fell in love with the author of the book. Now, one evening in front of an audience, Layla begins to read her book, written about her own life story, to everyone. She says, "That day it was hailing. Held tightly in my mother's arms, I told her, 'Mother, Allah must be angry with us,' because I had seen my father's lifeless body floating in the sea. Since then, the sea water and sand no longer touch my body. Instead, everything gets etched into my heart. My mother's tears would fall from her cheeks onto my head. Even then, I did not break down helplessly, because it felt as if my father was right beside me. I didn't stop writing even then, because my father gave strength to my fingers. It feels as though my father has brought me this far by holding my hand. His memory is my strength. Thank you, everyone." With these words, Layla finishes her story and everyone present there starts clapping. But in that crowd, Layla spots her husband in the distance. Calling out to him, she starts running after him. But no, she cannot find her husband. But at that moment, her husband's cousin Namina appears. She hands Layla a note and says, "Sorry, Layla." Layla opens the note and sees that it says, "Goodbye, Layla." Everything between them remains unfinished. And so, leaving everyone behind, the next morning Layla and Ibn set out to return to their country. But before leaving, Layla meets with her brother. She tells him, "I want to see Swamir one last time. Brother, please ask him to come to the old city. I want to meet him there for the last time." Saying this, she returns to the car with Ibn. Now they were heading towards the airport. Layla asks Ibn, "You haven't been to the old city, have you? We still have a lot of time before our flight. Why don't we go for a little walk?" Ibn realizes why Layla is saying all this, so he says, "No, I won't go. I'll just wait at the airport." Meanwhile, Swamir keeps waiting for Layla in the old city. Morning turns to evening in the old city, but Layla never comes. When night falls, Swamir goes to Narmeen and tells her everything. Layla has already returned home, and the poor Swamir goes back with a heart full of disappointment. Meanwhile, Layla has reached home, and Ibn also informs Layla's uncle about everything, saying, "I don't want any trouble, but everything should be handled properly. That's your responsibility." On the other hand, the unfortunate Swamir gradually becomes isolated from everyone, both from the city and from his family. He goes far away from everyone to the edge of the sea and desperately clings to memories of Layla. In his dreams, he sees himself and Layla dressed as bride and groom. Swamir is now completely separated from everyone. He no longer returns home. Here he spends his days sitting or lying under a rock at 1 o'clock, as if he has gone mad with grief for Layla. And now searching for him, Narmina and Ilham come near that cave. They try hard to convince him to return, but Swamir only says one thing. He is even willing to become Majnu for Layla. Now Ilham gives him a letter and some shadow puppets which Layla has sent for him from Indonesia. In the letter, Layla wrote, "I will never be able to forget you. Swamir, please forgive me." Swamir treats her letter and those shadow puppets as his last possession and spends his final days with them. Meanwhile, several days pass. Ibnu is now a candidate for mayor of his city. Their campaign is going on everywhere. But one day, as Ibnu and Layla are about to leave in their car, they notice that one of the campaign microphones nearby seems to be turned off. So Ibnu tells Layla, "Go check what's going on." When Layla goes there, she sees that Swamir has come from Indonesia. He is there teaching the children about the history of Azerbaijan and Indonesia. It was as if Layla had the moon in her hands, yet she let it go. She began to cry uncontrollably. And from a distance, Swamir too seemed to silently plead, if only for a moment, to get his beloved back. But no, once again Layla kept her promise to Ibnu. She kept all her pain inside and left Swamir behind. She starts to head back, but on the way she runs into Narmina and Ilham. They try hard to convince Layla that Swamir has come here only for her and beg her to please go back to him. Layla is at a loss, not knowing what to do, but then she tells Ilham, "Tell Swamir to come to the bridge tomorrow. I have something to say to him there." After saying this, Layla returns home. But this time, When Layla tries to leave the house again to meet Swamir, her uncle intervenes. He refuses to let Layla go outside and locks her in her room. Layla sits down to pray, crying and pleading with Allah for help. She confides everything to her mother. Now Layla's mother tells her, "You should run away, I'll handle your uncle." And so Layla does just that. She escapes to meet Swamir. After what feels like a lifetime of waiting, they are finally reunited. The two of them embrace each other. But once again, Ibn arrives to cause trouble. This time, however, Ibn comes with his entire gang, determined that his honor and reputation will not be ruined because of a single girl. He simply couldn't accept it. At first, Ibn wanted to kill Samir, but now, feeling that his love has been devalued, he points his gun at Layla, intending to kill her. Samir desperately pleads with Ibn, grabbing his hands and feet. Meanwhile, Layla's uncle, who is standing behind, starts to struggle with Ibn to save Layla. And because of this scuffle, the gun accidentally goes off and the bullet hits Layla's uncle. The poor old man dies there. Ibn wasn't actually so evil that he would kill someone, but from behind, his father orders him, saying, "What's done is done. Now make sure no witnesses are left alive here. Kill those two as well, tie up their hands and feet and throw them into the river." And the thugs with Ibn start doing just that. Before the two souls from two countries could unite, they are tied up. Then, with stones tied to their feet, they are thrown into the river. Just think of Layla's fate. She couldn't become her beloved's in life, but in the end, she took her last breath in her beloved's arm. Under the water, it's as if they can see themselves getting married, finally becoming one. In an infinite, eternal world, they vow to be together forever. And perhaps that's why, even in death, the two of them find happiness. So, what are you thinking? That both women are gone? Oh no, my friend. Even here, Layla's mother comes and cuts the rope to save them. The movie's emotion is completely ruined at the end. Just a few days ago, I was watching the Indonesian film Assalamualaikum Beijing. The story was so beautiful. I'll put the link in the description so you can watch it too. That's why I thought this one might be good as well. Actually, it's not that the story is bad, but this story has become a bit like a typical Bangla movie. Besides, the story doesn't really have a clear motive, my friend. Even Ibn himself is right in his own place. And even though he's shown as the villain, who's really the villain here? Layla's fickle heart. If you fall in love in just 2 days, then of course tragedy will follow, right? So in the end, the story is just that. So never go abroad yourself or send someone else abroad and leave them behind. With that, I'll say goodbye.